Hello everybody, Fufina here, and today we're going to be reacting to a video called Fallout 4, but everything is a car. And by the way, this is not on stream because I don't know why. For no reason, I just wanted to record today. That's it. And I just wanted to react to some videos. This video is by Reggie on YouTube. So yeah, let's record. Let's watch. Yeah. God.
The year is 2077, and the American government has just finished research on the forced evolution virus.
Hey,
this
FEV.
pathogen is single-handedly responsible for transforming people into Slavs. Shortly after,
Super
the world
mutants.
was plunged into nuclear winter. Coincidence? I think not. It was definitely a bad time to be alive, but our timeline is even worse, because in this world, the virus doesn't evolve things into super mutants, it evolves them into cars, meaning that every single household item is now a car. Grandma's radio,
God.
car. Collection of coffee mugs, car. Your infant son, it's too late for him, I'm afraid. Even the very bullets inside of your gun, also cars. Simply put, 75% of the game
God.
assets have been replaced by cars, and society is not coping
Wow.
with it very well. These motor vehicles may seem innocuous, but they're actually ambush predators, and trust
Oh
me,
my
they
God.
will not hesitate to
Jesus.
put you down. There's only one man who could hope to restore order to this world. Of course, I'm talking about Igor Bogdanov. Because today, we'll be playing as one half of the team.
Oh my God. Yep, does exactly look the same.
Titular twins in an attempt to establish a thriving utopia and put an end to Carmageddon
Oh
once
my
and
God,
for all.
the physics.
Can we single-handedly rebuild
Holy
society,
shit.
or will we fall victim to a cruel and unusual form of precipitation? There's only one way to find out. But first, a word from our sponsor, NordVPN. A hypothetical situation. You're home alone browsing the internet when suddenly a gang of cyber criminals break into your apartment and start harassing you. They're
Okay,
trying to steal
yeah.
your browser history and credit card information, and you're powerless to stop them. However, all of this could have been avoided with NordVPN, because Nord will protect your data and never let the cyber criminals find you in the first place. In fact, all it takes is one click of a button and you can change your location to anywhere in the world, allowing you to access
Yay.
hundreds of region-locked TV shows and movies. Nord has also introduced some additional features, such as their kill switch. When using other VPNs, there's a risk that you could momentarily lose
sounds useful.
connection to their servers
Oh, wait,
and
what was
compromise
that?
other VPNs. There's a risk that you
Girlfriend ASMR. Cute and clumsy girlfriend accidentally commits vehicular manslaughter. What the fuck?
could momentarily lose connection to their servers and compromise your data, but not with Nord. Simply enable the kill switch, and if you lose connection at any point, Nord will temporarily disable your browser, thus ensuring your safety and anonymity. Other than that, they
sounds
also
good.
offer Threat Protection Pro to shield you from online malware, such as the 800 terabyte zip bomb full of Bonzi Buddy that I am actively sending to your Gmail. So, what are you waiting for? Go to nordvpn.com/ReggieGames to try Nord.
That
For a
sounds
limited
terrifying.
time, they'll even give you 4 extra months of protection and a Saley eSIM with up to 20 gigabytes. This will help you stay connected to the internet at home or abroad through affordable data packages, thus allowing you to avoid expensive roaming charges. Trust me, it's a small price to pay for your personal safety. Thank you, NordVPN. Now back to the video. The nightmare begins in the character creation screen, because as I'm carefully sculpting
my
myself to
God.
look like my body has received a face transplant that it is violently rejecting, I can already hear a symphony of collision sounds emanating from the hallway. Upon further inspection, I open the closet to
That's
find
a lot of
3
cars.
mid-sized sedans
Holy shit.
vibrating violently. Other than that, everything is normal. I have a wife, child, and a robot who I have appointed to raise my son, because I am an emotionally distant father with no sense of empathy.
Oh.
Then, suddenly,
okay.
a broadcast comes on the TV. This entire area is about to be vaporized by nuclear weapons, so obviously I escape out the front door, making sure to lock my wife and child in behind me before sprinting down the street in the wrong direction. I turn around, dodging and weaving my way through a
Oh my
series
God,
of
that's a-
cars
that's
as
a
I
lot of
race toward
cars.
the fallout
Oh,
shelter.
Jesus.
Many good people are left behind. I do not care. And despite Mr. Russell's best efforts, I'm the first one to make it to the elevator. I look behind me to see that my wife and child are trapped on the rear bumper of a Chevy Plymouth. Pay attention to the helicopter landing in the background, because it lands directly on top of a car, crushing it and setting off a chain reaction of explosions which killed the entire neighborhood.
God, the
I was hoping that was just
fucking
bad
explosion
luck,
effects.
but this pilot is nothing if not consistent. Eventually, I figure out the best approach is to just hide behind this container crate, wait for the cars to explode, then everyone makes their way to the elevator and we're in.
Alright.
We're lowered into Vault
There we
111,
go.
where, unfortunately, the car virus has already spread. I follow a
The
sex
cars are
offender to the
everywhere.
decontamination
Everywhere.
pods only to be tricked into cryosleep. I escape the pod 200 years later, where I am immediately greeted by the cold hard steel of a wheel hub assembly. Some things never change. My wife still looks tired, so I decide to let her sleep in. The vault is now overrun with cars, some of which I'm able to sneak past, but most of the time I can't, and I have to punch my way through them until they explode. On more than one occasion, I have broken both of my arms doing this.
Ugh.
Luckily, the cars are packed so tightly that detonating one will typically initiate a chain reaction that clears out the entire vault.
Oh my
Good news
God.
for us, bad news for the rad roaches.
Oh.
After a few more
at least they're
explosions,
dead.
I make my
At
way to
least
the
they are
exit
dead.
and ride the elevator up.
So you don't have to deal
we
with them.
finally made it outside, where I bear witness to several cars majestically sailing through the skies. My neighborhood has been hit hard by the car virus, but this is nothing. Over the horizon, I see the Red Rocket truck stop.
Oh my God. Look at that. So many freaking cars.
Spewing cars into the atmosphere like some kind of volcano. You may look at this and think, what's the big deal, Reggie? It's just some cars. Well, I'll tell you.
What the fuck? Excuse me? What was that?
You may look at this and think, what's the big deal, Reggie? It's just some
What the hell is this? Oh, what the fuck?
cars. Well, I'll tell you. Not only do I have to
What the hell
contend
happened
with
to
the
Lightning
ever-present
McQueen?
danger of a car falling from the heavens and pulverizing me, but thanks to a bug in the game, if I brush up against a car in the wrong way, there's about a 50% chance it'll just kill me. This happened about a dozen times in the first hour of playing. But if we let our lives be governed by fear, then truly, the terrorists have won. So regardless,
God.
it's time to venture forth. We have two goals. One, destroy the Institute, because in Fallout 4, the Institute is responsible for every misfortune, ranging from gangland killings to erectile dysfunction. So I'm just assuming
Okay,
they did
that's
the car
bad.
thing too. And our second goal,
Kill the
rebuild
Institute
society
for
from
that.
the ground up. Our first stop is
That's
going to
pretty
be
bad.
Concord. If we want to restore order to this world, we're going to need the help of notorious war criminal Preston Garvey, and he's trapped inside this building. I made my way there and began wading through the sea of cars
Oh
that flooded
my
the streets.
God,
I was struggling
Jesus
to make
Christ.
progress, because for every car I could climb over, the raiders were shooting out a dozen more. I snuck up on them and began neutralizing them with my own brand of automotive justice. I will admit, car-based combat is pretty awkward, but by far the worst part is when you're in the middle of 100
Jesus,
cars and
my
you hear
God.
the sound of exactly one of them catching on fire. You can try to
That-
run,
that-
but
that's
at
the
that
scariest
point,
sound
it's
ever.
already too late.
Hearing one of them. Oh Jesus. Oh, that's really bright. That's really scary though. Hearing one of them start almost exploding. It's really scary. Well, oh
That was
my
a
God.
hard but valuable
eyes.
lesson to learn, because I realized I could clear out all of the bandits by simply finding a car on the edge of town and lighting it on fire. The resulting explosions vaporized everything apart from the occasional chunk of flesh. Clearly impressed, Preston invited us inside. In hindsight, I do not recommend going inside, because upon entering you will be greeted by a cacophony of suffering, an orchestra of metal screeching and violent smashing. Honestly,
Oh my
don't even
God.
bother trying to navigate it. Also, don't even bother trying to destroy it, because I made that mistake the first time. I lit one of the cars on fire and tried to evacuate the building as they exploded. Instead, I left too soon, and the very second I came back through those
And-
doors, the entire building would detonate, killing me instantly. Just to add insult to injury, the game also placed a quick save at this exact moment.
That's
Thank you,
the
Todd.
worst.
That was lovely. This
What-
left
what-
me with
uh,
placed a quick save at this exact moment. Thank you, Todd. That was lovely. This left me with no other choice. I'm going to have to construct a bridge made entirely out of cars that span from the top floor of this building
Wait,
all the way across
Can't
to
you?
the...
Wait, you can actually go on the roof if you go to the church and you climb onto the roof. You can jump from the roof of the church and go to the roof of the museum. It's pretty easy.
Museum's rooftop access. So I prepared some rough sketches and got to
Oh,
work.
oh God.
I started by sprinting my way up the apartment building, but unfortunately the cars ambushed me on the staircase. After dealing with that, I climbed onto the roof and began the construction process. Making a giant pile of cars might seem simple enough, but there's a few
Hopefully one of them doesn't explode, because you're gonna die and your progress is gone.
things I need to warn you about. First, you may feel tempted to use the shotgun because it fires 9 cars at a time.
Oh God! Each pellet is a car. That doesn't sound good at all. Doesn't sound good at all for any NPC. Well, that shoots you with a shotgun. So
However,
yeah,
the
better watch
collision
out.
damage from 9 high-velocity sedans will cause a grease fire, at which point I highly recommend running as far away as possible. Just kidding, it won't make a difference anyway. Second
Oh my-
tip, this isn't actually a bridge. It's much closer to the ball pit at McDonald's.
God, Ronald McDonald's is so damn creepy in there.
Because if
Holy.
you're not careful when jumping, you'll slide right through the cracks and be forever entombed in your own personal sarcophagus.
die.
At which point, there's only one way out, and
Yeah.
it's not in one piece. Other than that, it really just comes down to luck. In my case, it took about 30 minutes and 97
minutes,
cars for
holy.
me to finally make it across. Several days later, I found out you can actually just jump to the roof from
Yeah,
this nearby
it's
church.
pretty easy.
It was a bad day in the Reginald household when I
Oh,
came to
oh,
that realization.
oh.
Anyway,
Oh,
I
no.
entered the 3rd floor of the museum, only to realize that the cars were literally stacked up to the ceiling. I somehow managed to navigate this automotive hellscape and make it to Preston, but he refused to open the door until I had personally killed all of the bandits. What a dick. My plan for killing them was to get in this suit of power armor, find a relatively safe corner, and then light a car on fire and pray for survival. Much to my surprise, this actually worked.
Oh my God, the lag.
I tried to find the remaining enemies, but they sent me flying through the very map itself.
What?
When I came back to finish
Holy.
them off, I realized they had crushed themselves to death with their own cars.
Good for you.
Amateurs. With that taken care of,
Amateurs.
Preston finally let me inside and began speaking with me as if he wasn't currently lodged atop a filing cabinet. He proceeded to espouse some very racially charged rhetoric about Rhodesians.
What?
Fried chicken!
I told him that was
What?
wildly inappropriate, and we agreed to discuss it later. In the meantime, I have to go outside and kill more criminals. My only advice for this section is don't get cocky just because you're in power armor, because those raiders will absolutely laser you, and I cannot express how jarring it is to get hit by a car, fly through the air for 30 seconds, wake up in a different time zone, and then get hit again. Also, that bridge we made, I recommend
Bloody
using that
physics
to
in
your
this game.
advantage. And finally,
Oh.
don't stand too close to Preston. Once I was done committing vehicular manslaughter, I spoke with Preston, and he agreed to meet me at
Jesus
Sanctuary,
Christ.
so we could begin building a prosperous settlement, and by the looks of it, we've got our work cut out for us. Our first order of business is ignoring the cars that are actively phasing through the walls and trying to consume
Okay.
Mama Murphy, because
Oh, no,
what's
Mama
more
Murphy.
important
Oh,
is
no.
liberating at least 5 settlements, and creating supply routes between them to establish a functional support network of civilizations.
Okay.
And once that's done, then we can find and kill the Institute. Our first settlement will be Ten Pines Bluff. I made my way there, where I encountered a woman who was almost certainly
Why is she shaking so
experiencing
much? Oh my God.
methamphetamine withdrawals, which is fine, but I just don't trust the way she's shaking that double-barrel shotgun like an unwanted baby. Anyway, she wants us to go to Lexington and kill the raiders in this car factory. This would normally take about 10 minutes, but I got a little sidetracked. It went like this: wander through the wasteland aimlessly,
This is
get
so-
stuck in some kind of quicksand.
Yeah, that happens to that happens to me though. But why over here you randomly get like blurry textures and stuff? Why? It's so random. It goes away after you reload, but why? I don't know why. I don't even know. But okay, I guess for him it also happens.
Find the site of a crashed airplane, kill the survivors, accidentally stumble upon General Atomics, I cannot resist the call to the void, die several times in a sea of cars before finally making it inside the bowling alley, hit a perfect strike, and then
Hell
attempt to
yeah.
commit identity fraud when confronted by a robot. fail at committing identity fraud, blow
die.
everything up in frustration, and go hunting to let off some steam. After that, I made my way to Lexington, where I very narrowly dodged a projectile car, only to immediately get shot in the back of the head with a Ford Pinto. Ladies and gentlemen, meet the Lexington Welcoming Committee. I do not enjoy their gifts. Fortunately, they blew themselves up shortly after, and I made my way to the target. It's here where I pioneered a new offensive technique. I call it the wick, because you load up your target with about 24 cars and then create a long string of them leading to safety, which you can ignite much like a wick. This allows us to detonate several atomic bombs worth of cars.
Sneezed. Sorry.
From a safe distance, or so I thought. You see, the explosion of 25 cars sends a lot of shrapnel flying, and if you're not careful, you're going to catch one in the face. So I tried again, this time hiding behind a tree, and I still got absolutely annihilated. Eventually, I did get inside, and after greeting the receptionist, I was left with an entire factory packed full of cars. So I lit one on fire, hid in the corner, and started pissing all over myself.
Oh my god.
One gigantic explosion later, and I got a notification telling me every raider in the factory was now dead. Simply amazing. All that's left to do now was escape. In hindsight, I do not recommend escaping through the roof, unless you know how to land a triple cartwheel from 60 feet in the air, because I don't. With all of that done, I went back to my favorite drug addict, told her the good news, and she agreed to join our faction. To congratulate us on the success, Preston decided to give me a flare gun, which I can shoot into the sky to call for reinforcement.
I feel like the flare gun is a bit useless, I'll be honest. I guess it's kind of not, but also useless. Because when you're in a fight, you don't really have time to wait for like these guys to spawn and just help you. It takes a while, I'm pretty sure. It's a car, so he can't do anything.
Thanks, Preston. I love it. On to the next settlement, Starlight Drive-In. On my way there, I stopped by Trudy's diner and tried to intimidate the bandits into leaving her alone. And I failed. But similarly, Wolfgang failed to survive the resulting nuclear blast. And after that, I found Simone engaged in a life-or-death battle against Trash Can Carla, a duel which they both lost. Following this, Trudy sold me some radiation medication for all the plutonium I've been inhaling, and then I was on my way. Clearing the drive-in was simply a matter of filling it with inhaling, and then I was on my way.
Oh my god. Cartwheel into the air.
Clearing the drive-in was simply a matter of filling it with vehicles, beating one of them with a tire iron, and then watching as a dozen mole rats go up in flames. That makes 3 settlements in total, with 2 left to go. And next, we're heading to Oberlin Station. On my way there, I was presented with a tantalizingly tempting opportunity.
My mind.
Pulowski Preservation Shelter surrounded by yet-to-be-exploded cars. Obviously, I had to put this to the test. And while I was expecting to be turned into a human smoothie, the shelter actually worked. Following this, I met the leader of Oberlin Station, who complained about being victimized by a gang of violent criminals operating out of backstreet.
Excuse me, what the fuck?
Peril. Don't worry, lady, I'm a fucking psycho. So I made my way to the fens and started fighting through each neighborhood in close quarters urban combat. This area is teeming with suicidal super mutants, rabid animals, trigger-happy bandits, and around every corner there's a car waiting to rip your face off. For these ailments, Dr. Reginald prescribes live hand grenades. Use these well, and they'll make your life a lot easier, and their life a lot shorter. Just watch out for the mega cars. I spotted one of these at the end of
Mega cars? What? That's a big-ass car.
And was drawn to it like some kind of siren. But once I got close, it launched a car at me, at which point I decided it had to die. After that, I made my way into Backstreet Apparel and immediately realized 2 things. 1, it's absolutely stuffed with cars. And 2, some maniac lobbed a grenade at me, at which point I left. If I go back in there, I'm not surviving. So I entered through the roof, where I received a notification that the quest had been completed. Geez, I wonder what happened. Briefly exploring Exploring the building, I
wonder what
sifted through a
happened to them.
medley of human body parts. Some died in their sleep, others hard at work. The
Okay.
only known survivor was a singular teddy
Hey,
bear on
Teddy
the toilet.
survived.
The mission is complete, but since I was in the area, I thought I'd stop by Diamond City to see how it was coping with the whole carpocalypse thing. I approached Piper, but felt extremely uneasy about the car dangling over her head. My suspicions were
God.
confirmed when
That
it
is
smashed
scary.
my skull
okay.
into a million pieces. After
My God.
respawning, I can confirm that this car, in specific, is an absolute bastard. When I did eventually get inside, things weren't looking so good. The cars were blocking
yeah.
access to several homes
Doesn't
and
look good at all.
storefronts, and at least a dozen people appeared to be homeless as a result. Also, within minutes of being here, I witnessed a man pull a gun on his own brother before security guards blew his head off with a car. This place has gone to hell. So I promptly left, only to be crushed by automotive precipitation within seconds of leaving. But it's not all bad, because while I was there, I pawned my wedding ring to a Spanish man in exchange for a long-range scope on my rifle and a silencer for my pistol. Now my enemies will
Also,
never know
why is he just stripped to his underwear? I'm wondering.
With that, I decided to head back to Preston for our final mission, and my transit was accelerated substantially when I made the mistake of jumping on this pile of cars and getting launched into a ditch 300 feet away. Following this, I spoke with Preston, and he assigned me to help Nordhagen Beach. On my way there, I encountered several things. One of them, a junkyard full of cars that I can't blow up. Terrifying. For some reason, I felt a deep personal need to conquer this area in specific. For some reason, I felt a deep personal need.
Okay.
To conquer this area in specific, so I tried. This was a mistake, because I spent the next 30 minutes dying, being lit on fire, or my personal favorite, being chased through the woods by a suicide bomber, accidentally blinding myself, and then getting attacked by a black bear that I can't even see. After much suffering, I did manage to clear out 99% of the junkyard.
Sounds like hell.
The only
Oh my
survivor
God.
was a singular super mutant wielding a wooden 2x4. I used this as an opportunity to bully him extensively, until I got bored, lodged him in some construction equipment, and meleeed his foot until he died. Abusing him in this way channeled some feeling similar to melting an ant with a magnifying glass, and
would you do
personally,
that?
I liked it a lot. After this, I came across a robot racetrack, where these
this
bandits are
place.
betting money on which robot is going to win. Very
but the-
exciting.
but the
Possibly
cars
more
are
exciting is that I snuck
stopping them.
upstairs, hacked into this computer, and found out there's a button to detonate all of the contestants. The level of free will that I didn't have in this moment was possibly akin to demonic possession, because I could not stop myself from pressing that button. The bandits did not appreciate this. How do I know that? Well, there's only so many ways to interpret being lit on fire, shot with an automatic rifle, and drown in the ocean. So, yeah. I took that as my cue to leave.
Holy
so
shit.
I proceed to the beach, where this woman tells me about feral ghouls stealing and eating her children. And while I respect the hustle, I need to put them down. Arriving at the ghouls' hideout, I go inside, and what do you know? It's full of cars. So full, in fact, that I can't even stand at the front door without the cars crushing every bone in my body. The desperation I felt in this moment drove me to pioneer a new car-clearing technique. I lit a car on fire and counted how long it took to explode. Then, using that information, I went inside, ignited a car, and perfectly timed my exit just as the whole building went nuclear. After that, I took a few deep breaths and went back in.
That
It
was
worked like a charm.
good timing.
In fact, not only is the quest complete, but it's literally raining body parts inside.
What
With
the
that finished, we've got
the fuck
5
kind of bug is
settlements
that?
under our control, and Preston wants us to go reclaim the Minutemen Castle and declare that our
the
capital
castle.
city.
I love this
So
place.
I began making my way there, and a few things
died
happened
again.
along the
Okay.
way. For example, I encountered a demented man eating
this guy is trying to sell you a goddamn shard card, I guess. I'm pretty sure.
imaginary noodles out of an empty bowl. I briefly considered euthanizing him on the spot, but I decided to speak with him first. This was when I realized just how bad his mental disorder was, because he's from Boston.
But no, that means you're smart, super smart.
He's trying to sell me a credit card and won't take no for an answer. After I call him a con artist, he drops the hard R on me.
Retard.
Well, Parker Quinn, I might be retarded, but at least I'm not retarded enough to eat ramen noodles in the middle of 4 flaming cars. After they exploded, I searched his body. This chaotic lunatic didn't even have a credit card in the first place. After
shit.
that, I met up with the Minutemen outside the castle, where we were immediately beset by Mirelurks. It was at this moment I learned that AI are not to be trusted with automatic rifles, because they'll either crush themselves in a vehicular avalanche or accidentally shoot you into the nearest brick wall. After dispatching the crabs, our assault on the castle began. And I spent the next 10 minutes running around killing Mirelurks and dodging drunk drivers in my underwear, which was great, but my teammates were quickly
this would be
saturating the
much
entire
easier to
castle
do
with cars,
with
meaning
cars.
that every 30 seconds my screen would turn black and I'd have a 50% chance of dying,
God,
and that chance
the
increased
effects
exponentially
are
when the
annoying
Queen
as hell.
Mirelurk decided to show up. She was spitting acid and generally giving off bad vibes. So me and the boys started lighting her up, and just as I was about to throw a grenade and turn this whole place into a fish market, a soft-shell crab punched me 40 feet into the ocean. This knocked me out and left me drifting through a sea of aqueous feces, but eventually I came to my
Ew.
senses, tossed
What
a
the
frag, and it was all over.
Oh my god.
To celebrate, Preston decided to give the world's most poorly timed speech
The whole screen went black. God, the effects can be really brutal sometimes.
next to a few flaming cars. In case
Oh,
you're wondering,
no.
there were no
No,
survivors.
Preston.
After that, I spoke with a dirt-encrusted woman who appears to have spent the last 8 months
Hey, don't
face
diss
down in the
Ronnie
mud.
Shaw.
And instead of asking us for a shower, she wants to go into the Minutemen tunnels, fight our way to the armory, and build an artillery emplacement. So
Oh,
we did. Long story
okay.
short, I found a decapitated alcoholic, stole his clothes, killed an angry robot, and built this. Very nice. After that, Ronnie
very
gave us
nice.
some smoke grenades and told us to call in an artillery strike with them. I gave it my best shot, only to find out that even the smoke grenades are cars.
Oh.
No!
No.
In this moment, a wave of existential dread washed over me as I realized I'm basically King Midas, but for cars instead of gold.
That makes
Regardless,
sense.
we've got 6 settlements and we're doing pretty good for ourselves. Now I know you're thinking,
good,
so what,
looking good."
Reggie? You've got a handful of impoverished shanty towns paying you protection money. You're basically a slumlord. To that, I say yes, and we're going to need to take it even further. Because I have a grand vision for how I want to reshape society, and it's going to require more than a little fascist dictatorship. So let's get to work. The first thing the wasteland's going to need is clean drinking water. So I converted Nordhagen Beach into an industrial desalination
Is he going to like produce like purified water and then sell a bunch of them? And he makes a lot of money? Probably. Probably.
plant. With this, we can produce dozens of
It's a very easy way to make money though.
purified
In the game.
water every day and sell it to the Commonwealth for exorbitantly high prices.
Oh my
also,
God.
this is completely
Yep.
autonomous,
Yep.
which means I have no financial incentive to provide any quality of life to the 2 settlers which I have trapped inside. From here, I went to 10 Pines Bluff and established a carrot farming operation. You may notice I encased the entire settlement in a thick layer of concrete. That's for added
Why?
protection, and also because I don't believe in photosynthesis. Oberlin Station is another one of my carrot farms. However, I ran out of concrete, so the life cycle of these settlers is pulling carrots out of the ground until a raider shows up and blows their head off. Meanwhile, I converted the Starlight Drive-In into a Brahmin ranch. By placing
Okay.
several large cages, we can catch Brahmin and then use their feces as fertilizer for the other farms.
Oh, yeah,
we
that's
can
good,
also
that's
use
good.
a similar technique to capture humans. By labeling our cages with free
Right,
chems,
chems.
we can compel raiders to wander inside, at which point they become our hostages. The remarkable
I don't understand how raiders can just fall for this. How? It makes no sense. It's a big ass box saying free chems and there's a fucking like wires attached to it. You would think there's something wrong with it, right?
efficacy of this tactic leads me to believe raiders possess the approximate intelligence of a lobster. Finally, Sanctuary was converted into a penal colony
Probably.
to punish settlers that didn't meet their productivity quotas. All of the inhabitants were forced to sleep in an unlit metal warehouse, which could only be opened from the outside, meaning that if I forgot about them for a few days, they'd have to start harvesting each other's body hair for nutrition. On the occasion
God.
where I would show up and let them out,
That's
they'd be
pretty bad.
assigned to one of many workstations. For
God damn, I'm a Murphy.
example, Preston and Mama Murphy were usually working the wheat fields. Doesn't sound too bad, until you realize I'm pelting them with automated paintball guns for the entirety of their 18-hour shift. While
Dude, this is just torture now. The hell?
paintball fields aren't great, things could be much, much worse, because you could be stuck in the pillory, where I use a softball pitching machine to lob empty beer bottles at you until the sun goes down. This burns
straight up
through a lot of
torture.
bottles, so I typically spend my entire day here drinking whiskey and pissing myself. In my drunken stupor, I also experimented with the idea of a gladiatorial arena, where settlers could fight to the death for my amusement. It didn't take long for me to realize why this was a bad idea. For lesser offenses, I also have a humiliation station,
Look at this fucking moron.
where I strip you down to your underwear and fire all of your personal belongings out of a comically large mortar. For everyone else, they're assigned to stationary bicycles that provide power to the entire settlement. Also,
Okay.
I can literally program the bikes to shock their testicles if the settler isn't pedaling fast enough.
That's just evil, man.
And yes, this can kill them. Honestly, this is the beating heart of my whole faction, and I shouldn't even call it a penal colony, because they're free to leave whenever they want. They just have to make it past the gauntlet, a series of rotary
Holy
blades
crap.
that will not hesitate to put you down. You see, here in my factories, the worker does not own the product of their labor. In fact, they're not even entitled to the sweat of their brow, because that belongs to the desalination plant. Instead, they are afforded the privilege of living in a car-free society, and I think that makes it all worth it. Now, you may be wondering why I chose to farm these things specifically,
Yeah, why?
and I'll tell you. It's because at the castle, I have created the largest macaroni and cheese factory in the entire
my
world.
God.
A title which is substantially easier to hold in the post-apocalypse. By using the carrots, wheat, and purified water from my settlements, in addition to plastic waste that I've pulled out of the harbor, I've been able to build and operate 8 full-time food processors, which are churning out Blamco mac and cheese around the clock. Now come here, I want to play a little game with you.
Okay, what
When
is
you
it?
Look at this fully automated factory equipped with vacuum hoppers, logic circuits, and a laser tripwire sorting system, all powered by a fusion reactor.
Okay.
Which of these things do you think I had to get from a mod?
I don't know, because I never tried building a factory before in the game. I just mess around, that's it, with building. And what the hell is this mod? A furry mod? What the fuck? Okay, so let's see, what did he get for the
Well,
mod?
I'll
I
tell
guess.
you. It was the goddamn upward conveyor belt.
Are you serious? Really? An upward conveyor belt? Are you serious? Did Todd not freaking add a fucking upward conveyor belt? Are you serious right now?
That's right. Todd sold us a factory building DLC without any
What the
upward conveyor
what
belts.
is this?
Which is
What?
made even worse by the fact that he did give us downward conveyor belts.
Wow.
16 times the detail.
You can't keep getting away with this. Anyway, according to my calculations, I have no idea how much macaroni and cheese I'm making, but my best approximation is about 69,120 boxes every single day. I can then
my
take
God.
this abundance of delicious and non-perishable food and distribute it to the Commonwealth, raising thousands out of famine and ending countless food-related conflicts. Or at least, that's what you'd believe if you were a federal agent. Because the reality of the situation is this whole thing is just one big cover story. In fact, deep within these tunnels is an insane man cooking methamphetamine in his underwear. It's me. I'm the insane man. Yes,
Okay, yeah,
indeed.
would've
I'm
guessed.
making 69,000 boxes of macaroni every day just to conceal my real operation,
What is
which
it?
is the manufacture and distribution of a highly addictive narcotic called Jet. You see, the fertilizer isn't actually for the farms. Simply put, Jet is an amphetamine derived from Brahmin feces, and with almost 20 Brahmin at my
Oh,
settlements, I'm able
okay.
to pump out dozens of it every single day. I'm selling it to everyone, even children. This little bastard can't get enough of the stuff. Oh, and all those bandits we've been killing, they were just rival dealers. Simply put, we've got a monopoly on this whole thing.
Wow, that's a
but
lot
I'll be honest,
of caps.
running a drug den within a macaroni factory does get a little complicated, and I'd be lying
Yeah, I would've
if I
guessed.
said there wasn't the occasional slip-up.
New do this
Pasta.
got me wired. The fuck are they putting in this shit?
But this little secret stays between you and me, because while I could be making millions selling pasta and purified water to the masses, I actively prefer making thousands by creating the next crack epidemic.
the
So
f-
with all of that
crack
out of the way, I
epidemic?
think
What?
it's clear that we've rebuilt a functional and prosperous car-free society, and I for one am filled with confidence when I consider our prospects for the future. The only thing left to do now is to destroy the source of the cars, which is the Institute. It's going to be a lot of work, so let's
Yeah,
try
yeah,
to get through
definitely.
this as
So,
quickly as
yeah.
possible. At the start of the game, I allowed the Institute to steal my son Sean, because now I've got a man on the inside. All I need to do is find
okay.
him. I went back to Diamond City to hire a private detective named Nick, but he himself is also missing. His secretary asks us to find him, so obviously I extort her for money.
I do have 125 caps.
More money.
Fine.
More
We'll
money.
make it 150.
Even more money.
Okay, you win.
How
200
high
caps
is his
all I
charisma?
Okay, that'll do. Let's go get him. From here, I very carefully exited Diamond City
I hate it here.
and began my search, during which
I would also
stumbled
hate it.
into a building called the Combat Zone. I know the name sounds bad, but the house rules clearly state no combat outside the cage, so I assumed I would be safe. This assumption was very quickly proven wrong when I was shot into a door and beaten with
Yeah,
pool
they are not
cues.
nice to you at
However,
all.
karma comes quickly for rule breakers, and the entire building exploded shortly after. I got up, made my way into the cage, spoke with a burn victim, not sure if he looked like that before the explosion, and then he gifted me an indentured servant named Kate. I know that sounds like
Kate?
a good deal, but she's
yeah,
a violent Irish drug addict
Oh.
who will sexually harass you at every opportunity. I took Kate to a nearby lake with the intention of drowning her, but instead I stumbled upon a sea monster named Swan. He's
Swan,
submerged
that
underwater,
bastard.
and if you disturb him, he will beat you to death with an anchor. So instead, I began carefully and deliberately distributing cars all over the area. After about 30, I heard him wake
you're gonna
up,
blow
so
them
I
up?
tossed a grenade and ran away with all 7 of my frames.
Oh my god.
After my screen cleared
Oh,
up, I
you
found
poor
that his
computer.
headless corpse had been launched over 100 feet into a nearby alley. This allowed me to pick up the furious power fist from his body. This bad boy can destroy cars in 3
thing
hits.
it's a good weapon.
This
It's
is
a good
big power
melee
spike
weapon.
for us.
Pretty good.
Anyway, after that, we descended
Pretty
upon the
good.
subway, which led us to Vault 114,
More
where Nick
cars.
was being
Oh,
held
God.
by raiders. These criminals think
Nick.
they're safe just because they're living inside of a vault. But what
I
they
love
don't
Nick.
know is that I'm currently addicted to every chemical substance in the
oh
game.
my
and
God.
I've perfectly timed my withdrawal symptoms to hit at the same time. And when that happens, I'm going to kill everyone. There is a temptation to feel guilty about the fact that 95% of my victims can't even be identified through dental records, but they should have thought about that before being born. After the killing spree, we found Nick and
Before
began
being
our
born?
escape, but our progress came to a grinding halt when Nick became hyper-fixated on this specific laundry room. He just stood there for hours.
Sometimes Nick, he would randomly get stuck for some reason. I don't know why. Randomly, he likes to get stuck somewhere. I don't know. It's like, I don't know why.
And nothing I could do could get him to leave. Eventually, I realized I could move him around by punching him in the face.
Is he gonna
and
actually
so
punch-
began the
Are you
hour-long journey
serious?
of punching Nick all the way
Oh,
to the
come
objective.
on.
But you've got to be careful, because even though he has about 150 concussions by this point, he will not hesitate to jump up and start running back to the washing machine if you let him. So stay vigilant and keep swinging. Eventually, I got him to the objective, and we were just about to escape when we were confronted by Skinny Malone and his thugs. Fortunately, I was able to weaponize my status as a terminally online man to red pill Skinny into believing that his girlfriend was just using him for his money. This revelation made him feel so dejected that he didn't even want to fight us. The one condition is that we only have 10 seconds to leave. But Nick is currently
never quite
fighting
tried
and
to
losing a
convince
battle
Skinny
against
Malone.
a 1955 Lincoln Indianapolis, so he couldn't escape and they got pissed. I really
Okay.
wish every social interaction didn't have to end like this, but here we are. After this, we met Nick at his office to discuss our plans to find my son and destroy the Institute. He tells me to take a seat and get comfortable, so I remove all of my clothes. We identify the man that took Sean as Kellogg and decide to break into his house and look for clues. The only issue, it was booby-trapped. Yeah, whole thing full of cars. I wanted to experiment to see if I was high enough level to survive the explosion.
What are these, like, GIFs or videos that he is putting in his video? What the hell are these? They are so suspicious to me.
Wiggled my way upstairs, drank an entire bottle of vodka, lit a car on fire, and waited to face my destiny. Destiny hurt a lot, but I survived by jamming adrenaline syringes into my chest and plugging my wounds with leftover food. Nick and Kate were also completely fine. With the cars now cleared out, we were able to find Kellogg's gooning chamber, which had no shortage of genetic material.
Gooning chamber.
Genetic material which we then used to track him down with the help of a dog. I'm not exaggerating when I say that I probably died 50 times during this part. And I don't know why. Things just kept exploding. Eventually, I was even able to predict my deaths down to the second. 3, 2, 1... Much like Chinese water torture, this form of suffering was terrible in its simplicity and irresistible in its truth. After much hyperventilating, I made it to Fort Hagen, where Kellogg was hiding out. I entered through the roof, got pinned in the corner, and then had to endure the entire building exploding for the next 25 seconds. By some divine miracle, I survived this ordeal and killed my way to Kellogg. When I met him, I delivered a pretty sweet one-liner and then got put down like a dog. For my second attempt, I just jumped straight to filling the entire room with cars and blowing it up. I have yet to find a more effective combat technique than this. After this, it was back to Nick's to discuss what happened. Kellogg didn't give us any information on account of the incident, but Nick tells me there's a voodoo shaman that can read people's minds, which is convenient because I just so happened to scoop up a fistful of Kellogg's brain matter back at Fort Hagen. So we make our way to Good Neighbor to meet the doctor. Within 60 seconds of arriving, a man extorts me for protection money and is immediately stabbed to death. Looks like someone wasn't paying their protection fees. After that, I head to the memory den, where I am victimized by a car half a dozen times. I cannot properly express the anxiety I now experience when entering buildings. But if you can imagine that behind every door, cabinet, and cupboard in your house, a car is waiting to kill you, then you are approximating the surrealist hell that is my reality. Eventually, I made it past the cars and met Dr. Amelia, who offers to put me inside of Kellogg's memories to try and find the location of the Institute. So I agree, and dear God, there's cars even in the memories. I spend some time reading through Kellogg's psyche, where I learn that he's so violent because his father didn't breastfeed him
why am I saying how? There's cars everywhere.
enough as a child. I also learned that there's an escaped scientist from the Institute, and if I find him, he can tell us how to get in. His name is Virgil, and he's hiding out in a sea of radioactivity. Activity. So I very carefully navigated my way to the nearest clothing store, making sure to die several times in the process, after which I bought myself a hazmat suit. This should mitigate the radiation from the glowing sea. On our way there, I observed the arrival of the Brotherhood of Steel. They've got all kinds of helicopters flying around, but they're not coping very well with the local anti-air defenses. Anyway, I arrived at the glowing sea and equipped my suit, giving me near 100% radiation immunity. Kate, on the other hand, well, she's pushing the theory of radiation hormesis to its upper limits. Honestly, once you get past the prostate cancer, the glowing sea isn't too bad. I fought a few things, realized the utility of a double-barrel shotgun, and then absolutely humiliated this Deathclaw. Proceeding a little further led us to the Children of Adam. They're basically a cult that worships radioactivity, but despite all of their brain tumors, they were actually quite helpful. They told me that Virgil is holed up in a cave down the road. To reward them for their cooperation, I decided to release the radioactivity trapped inside of these cars.
No, why would you do that?
Their entire settlement.
Just chill.
I know, it's a thoughtful gift. This detonation left only Brother Ward and Brother Foster to repopulate the entire settlement, and Foster doesn't seem to be handling the news well. I make my way to Virgil's edging cave, where I find him so backed up that he's literally changing colors. He agrees to help us, but says the only way to get into the Institute is by teleporter, and we're going to need a transmitter chip from inside a Courser's skull to design one. Luckily, I knew exactly where to find this, so I made my way to Green Tech Genetics, a building which could not for the life of it stop exploding.
I hate this place because for some reason I like to die here in every single playthrough. I don't know what's going on, but I guess I don't know. I don't know why. I guess it's kind of just a hard place to get through, for me at least. I don't know why.
Loading. After I
And
waited
that's even worse. That's even worse.
that out, I shotgunned my way through a couple of gunners and arrived at the courser just in time to witness him execute a man at point-blank range with a Ford Ranchero. So I made my way up there and introduced myself.
Are you here for the sin? Fuck you.
The courser turned invisible, as
Like
if any
you.
part of my plan actually involved being able to see him. 14 car explosions later, I had his brain in my hand. The only people that are capable of decoding this brain chip are the Railroad, a highly secretive society of anti-institute resistance fighters. So clandestine is their operation that the only way to find them is following a bright red line on the ground for 10 minutes and then entering Railroad as the password to their base. Holy shit. Anyway, I met
Yeah,
with the
holy
Railroad
shit.
and started lying to them
Not
immediately,
that secretive.
because why else would I be playing a charisma build? They agreed to help and introduced me to a clearly neurodivergent man who attempted to decode the chip by endlessly typing the same 4 letters on his keyboard as I phased in and out of consciousness due to my acute radiation poisoning. Stunningly, this worked, and we now have all the information needed to design a teleporter. For some reason, I trusted Virgil to do this, despite him being a biologist and not an engineer. I don't know if you're aware, but that's like hiring a plumber to do your heart surgery. Anyway, in the spirit of making bad decisions, I took Virgil's
Bad
teleporter
Genshin
schematics to
Impact.
Sturgis to
Bad
build
decisions.
it, despite the fact that I have
It's not. Definitely. It's not a bad decision to play Genshin Impact at all. Definitely not. I have spent too much money on that game. I swear to God, I have spent too much money on that game. Help me. Yeah, nothing.
personally witnessed him hammering a wall with no nails for over an hour. If that wasn't bad enough, he came back and told me we could build this space-age teleporter using the random garbage lying around our slums. So I
Okay.
did. But I have never felt less confident about something in my entire life. Regardless, he flipped the switch and teleported me into the Institute, where I then took the world's slowest elevator downstairs to find my
Really
son
slow.
Sean, who, for some reason, is scared of the naked man smelling of vodka with a
Anyone would be scared. Anyone would be really scared.
bloody power fist, because he's claiming that I'm not his father. Shortly after, a character named Father
That's
enters the
our
room
son
and
right
introduces
there.
Sean as his son.
And the product of my semen is my son's.
Sure.
Long story short, Father is my son, and Sean isn't even human. In fact, he's a Redditor. My father's
A
son
Redditor.
then spends his next 20 lines of dialogue trying to convince me on the merits of dating femboys.
Please try.
Shit, I would be convinced. I would be really convinced.
And keep an open mind. This is insane. Right, wrong, irrelevant. It really is humanity's best hope for the future. Maybe.
It
I
is.
don't know. I've been a part of something amazing here.
Maybe.
And now, after all these years, you have an opportunity to help with that.
It was all very confusing, and I'm pretty sure they're just trying to distract me from the whole car thing. And honestly, it's working. Anyway,
It's definitely working for me too. I love fembos.
I checked my
I love
notes, and
fembos.
according to the quest map, it is
Not
at
kidding
this
about
point
that.
in the game where we need to become hostile with the Institute. It doesn't really specify what that means, so I took it in a pretty extreme direction. After
Hmm. Oh. Okay.
beating my son to death, I made my way to the atrium,
Killing
a
your own
large
son?
open area just waiting
Okay,
to be
great.
filled with cars and exploded. So I did exactly that, at the cost of my own frame rate.
Oh my
And to the best of
God,
my
his
knowledge,
computer.
there were no survivors. I also stopped by the weapons
Why
lab to
is
try
there so many tiny toy cars around?
and destroy their research and development team, but it looks like they've got that covered themselves. And with that, I
Okay.
decided to leave, only to be confronted by a small army of synths at the exit. I wasn't sure exactly what they wanted, so I decided to err on the side of caution and just start blasting. It appears that our declaration of war was received loud and clear, because after teleporting back to safety, I was informed that the Macaroni Castle was being besieged by Institute forces. Our Blamco mac and cheese must not fall into their hands, so I hustled
Okay.
over there and prepared the defenses. It wasn't long before the battle was underway.
Oh my
And within
god.
30 seconds, a giant car pile had already formed and ignited near the front of the base. The detonation
Run.
of which killed almost all of my employees. After that, it was just a hellish experience, with cars flying in every conceivable
That is
direction,
complete
accompanied
hell.
by a near-endless symphony of explosions and metal sound effects. My only tip for this is to avoid using VATS, because it will inevitably betray you. At one point,
yep,
I made my way
definitely.
outside to lay a minefield and clear some synths, but Kate came around the corner and surprised me, so I accidentally launched her into low Earth orbit. Never saw her again after that. 20 minutes and
goodbye,
countless
Kate.
explosions later, we had finally defeated the Institute army, but the damage they inflicted
Yay.
was devastating. For example, there were carrots everywhere, and more than a few body parts had made their way onto the conveyor belts. This was indeed a dark day at Blamco Mac and Cheese LLC. I knew retaliation was necessary. We need to send a message to the Institute, and it has to be written in synthetic blood. Unfortunately,
Didn't he already beat the Institute? Well, not yet, I
Preston
guess.
says we don't have enough people to launch an attack, so I
Okay.
decided to capture Vault 88 to recruit more soldiers. It was controlled by a gang of raiders, but in possibly my most stylish move to date, I killed all of them while cartwheeling over their exploding corpses in the canyon below. This miraculous form of homicide had people lined up around the block wanting to join my army. So what's the plan?
Hell
well,
yeah.
Sturgis just casually mentions that he knows a sewer drainage pipe which we can use to infiltrate the Institute. So you're telling me that I waded through a radioactive sea, killed hundreds of people, built an entire teleporter out of spare cutlery and condom wrappers, and even spoke to a woman, when
Condom
instead
wrappers.
I could have just crawled through 1,200 yards of feces? Thanks a lot, Virgil. So, I put on my hazmat suit and made my way to the sewer pipe. The Institute did attempt to block it with a car, as if I'm not some kind of expert at destroying them by this point. After
And
battling
he's
my
dead
way
again.
past a bunch of guards, I'm back inside, and I hack into their computer, briefly play Galactic Control, accidentally shoot down a commercial
fun game.
airliner, and then teleport everyone
A pretty
to my
fun game,
coordinates.
little game.
The plan is to fight our way to the reactor and place a bomb on it, which will cause this entire place to go up in flames. Pretty good idea, actually, but I'm not exactly filled with confidence when I look at my reinforcements. Before the fighting began, Preston asked me to give the Institute citizens a chance to evacuate, because apparently,
We're not here to commit mass murder.
but all I heard was,
Commit mass murder.
so I
Okay.
put on my finest genocide tuxedo and we got to work. Before long, my team had made their way to the bioscience department, where I tactically neutralized several highly dangerous scientists.
Ow.
We were briefly attacked by guerrillas, very briefly, before making our way into the main chamber. At this point, things got really messy really fast, and it's all kind of a blur. But I'm pretty sure I punched someone's arm off. After several extinction-level explosions, I disabled the security lockdown and accessed the reactor room. There, I carefully planted the bomb, while almost certainly developing cancer. It's now time for us to make our escape, but on the way out, I'm approached by fake Sean, who all of a sudden wants to be my son just to avoid dying in a nuclear explosion.
You can't just leave me here. I don't want to die.
Well, too bad, kid. I don't date gold diggers.
That's not happening.
So we teleported out and I pressed the biggest and reddest button of them all, instantly vaporizing the
And
Institute and
boom.
destroying the source of the cars once and for all. It's finally over. Oh, and Preston did have a mental breakdown because I didn't evacuate the civilians, but he'll get over it. With the Institute destroyed and my colonies prospering, it's safe to say we've been very successful, and I believe success is something
Yeah.
that's meant to be shared.
Pretty successful
Personally,
at
I can't think of
killing
anyone
multiple
more
people
deserving
and
than
being
the
a bad
fine
person,
people at Diamond
I
City.
guess.
They've helped me on numerous occasions,
No, good
which is
person.
why I've decided
Yeah.
to donate to them 100,000 boxes of Blamco
Oh,
mac and
wow.
cheese. It is my hope that this will be received as a sign of goodwill that might bring our factions closer together. The only problem is that my
mac and
factory
cheese is
doesn't
pretty good,
process
so,
things while
yeah.
I'm away. Thanks a lot, Todd. So I went back to the castle, sat down in my finest chair, and left my PC running for the next 36 hours. By the time I returned, I had become a pasta god, and it is now time to reward my subjects.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh my god. Oh my god. There's so much mac and cheese. That Holy shit!
Well, there it is, 100,000 boxes of Blamco mac and cheese enveloping Diamond City like a warm blanket. However, there were no celebrations, no fireworks, and the city was not undergoing the massive cultural and scientific renaissance that I was expecting. And I didn't understand why. It's perfectly good food, but upon closer inspection, it became obvious. All of this pasta is uncooked. No wonder they're not eating it. So what we need is heat, the byproduct of an exothermic reaction. An exothermic reaction, such as a car exploding. Fret not, Diamond City, I've got just what you're looking for.
No.
Gentlemen, it's time to
Oh no. Oh my. Holy shit.
This is my city.
Oh no, Mayor McDonough.
Well, that does it for this video. We've saved the
Oh,
world from an
wow.
automotive apocalypse and ushered in an era of abundance and tranquility. Thank you to this month's patrons for supporting the channel, and finally, thank you for watching.
Holy shit. Oh Jesus, this video, man. Okay, that was Fallout 4, but everything is a car. What a interesting video. God. Yeah, all I saw was he was a bad person in the game. No, totally a good person, totally. Pretty much killed everybody, I guess. And everything is a car. And it's terrifying. And it seemed quite like hell trying to play with NPCs shooting cars at you and stuff. Seems like hell. To me at least. But anyways, yeah. That was today's video of me reacting to a video, I guess. So yeah. I guess hopefully you guys did enjoy my reaction. I know I am not quite good at it, I guess. By the way, I'm not forcing my reactions, okay? I'm not forcing them. My reactions are genuine. But sometimes, I guess, I feel like I'm forcing them, but I'm not, okay? I'm not, I promise. But, yeah. Hopefully you guys did enjoy my reaction to this video. And, yeah. I'll see you guys in the next video. Subscribe. Yeah. Woof. Bye-bye.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe too. Ba 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 da ba 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 Yahoo!